Northern Spring Television. Ours it is.
What a beautiful day. This day is very iconic and historic in the annals of this nation forever and ever. 1st of October 2024 is today's date, and of course, it rings a bell, not just a bell, very, very clanging sound coming from that bell, because on these days, 64 years ago, Nigeria became an independent country, Niger area, whatever name was given to it, but it came to be known as a sovereign nation, an independent nation, from the hands, grips of the colonial masters, the British. We became independent for ourselves, 1st of October 1960 down to 1st of October 2024. 64 years, of this nation being a sovereign one. By the way, we are reveling in it, and this will be the focus of our program today. Femi Ojo is my name, and of course, I'm a Nigerian. Evelyn, how are you?
How are you, Femi? I'm good. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm alive. Like he said, it's a beautiful day, 1st of October 2024. Happy birthday, Nigeria. This day,
Happy
64 years ago, Nigeria was born and got independence, by the way. And it was a beautiful day that day. A lot of celebration, a lot of jubilation, a lot of people were excited that finally we have what to call our own. And like Chinua Achebe said in an interview, some years after independence, that it felt better when you are handling your own business than when you have another person handling it. Yes, you're going to make mistakes, but of course you're going to learn from those mistakes and move on. And that is what we've been doing for the past 64 years, handling our own business, making mistakes, rising from those mistakes, learning our lessons, and trying again. Yes, it's a beautiful day, people. My name is Evelyn Ohiole, and I am welcoming you to the special edition, special Independence Day edition of Morning Spring. We are happy to be here.
And of course, you're a Nigerian, aren't you?
I am. Of course, you can see I'm doling in the color, although the green is not greening like it should, but then it's still some.
Let's just stay with the white. It's fine.
The
it's
white,
fine this way.
but it's still green.
Okay, you at your end, right?
Light faded green.
Okay, so
green on a low.
How about this?
That's not green. That's
okay, but
green.
this is.
Yes, this green.
On a day like this, we should not argue. We should be happy and merry. Men are just say, why should we? But then you are a Nigerian, and that's what matters. Even if you have a second address or a second passport, fortunately, let me say fortunately, some persons can deny the country all they want, but for some that, they have traditional mark, tribal mark. I wonder, you go to the US and say you are not a Nigerian, and for some persons with accent, the moment you say good morning, they will know where you're from. Yeah. We are happy people. Things might not be the way it's supposed to be, but then we are still together. The government or the federation has said it will be a low-key celebration, but then it will still be marked, maybe right there. The eagle scare, I think so, at the end of the day. But there are many things to discuss, many things to talk about today. The vision of the founding fathers, who came together, and the founding mothers as well. Must put that, because in these rays there are some iconic women that stood out in the conversation about the emancipation of the great people of Nigeria, bringing them out of the colonial masters to say we are good to go, we are ready, to govern ourselves now. 64 years down the line, the dreams of these founding fathers, just to put that there, is it what we are living right now? 64 years down the line. Can we beat our chest and say 64 years ago, this was where the envisaged Nigeria will be? Many nations of the world, started with us as well. Can we rub shoulders with those nations as well? Many persons say Nigeria took off like a sprinter, like a Usain Bolt, like Sharika Richardson, and many of those past individuals to say we're moving. And at some point, it seems the pace slowed down. But then we'll be looking into these and more. We're speaking to critical stakeholders, elder statesmen, those that were, someone that was alive, or that was there, pre-independence. And of course, people will be joining us on this program to look at the prospect, the promise, and the challenges, and of course, the way forward as we hit. When it was 60, we celebrated. 50, we celebrated.
Yeah.
Now it's 64.
Heading to 70. And, given those names of past individuals, you forgot our very own. I mean, this is Nigeria. Forgot the likes of Toby Amuson, Femi, Ohiole, and of course, Mary Onyali.
Mary Onyali or Magbini. Let me put that one
those
there.
are fast individuals.
Very fast individuals. By the way, I learned Toby Amuson. She says she has a very big news that she will be unveiling today by 10 a.m. So we wait to see. Something struck my mind. I hope this lady is not, dropping this country for another country, because when an athlete tells you, I have a big news for you, Toby, don't do that. But we hope for the best. We go for this break right now, and when we return, the papers are in. Things about a major dailies today, we'll be reeling it out. And of course, Evelyn is the independent special here on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, beaming live on channel 190 on StarTimes DTT, or on our YouTube channel at Western Spring TV. Stay with us. All right, kicking it out from the front page of The Guardian for today. The Guardian newspaper. Nigeria at 64. You can see the picture. I trust Guardian to do justice, the pictorial depiction of the situation or the story they are illustrating. And economic hardship, political rift overshadow celebration. Nigeria at 64. Economic hardship, political rift overshadow celebration. And you can see the picture there. We are working hard. Be patient and grateful. Learn to pray and fast for national development. That sounds cliche, what you expect. You can actually, this particular statement here, you can actually pull it out of every statement that will be released today. Almost every statement released today by government officials at all levels, politicians, former leaders, current leaders, from the federal to the state, and even maybe local government as well, to say, we are working hard, be patient. Be grateful as well. And of course, learn to pray for our national development. You could see somebody there with the barbarian guy with a big tummy on the table, and of course, holding a very large portion of food with a lap of chicken on that particular meal, sitting on a bag of naira. We should put that one there. And of course, with the Nigeria at 64 balloon hanging somewhere, you could see the spoon of this individual very big. In fact, the meal is tightened, and the man's right hand is the one holding that particular meal. All right, and you could see the other person at the other side of the table. It's supposed to be a celebration because it's Nigeria 64 with a balloon. In fact, the poor individual, the poor-looking individual, is the one holding the balloon. And you can see the background with cake, with balloon as well, balloon rather. And of course, this individual is stretching to have a portion of the food. Yes, a small portion of the food was ditched, but the hand, there is a rope, attached to that particular portion, and the rope is with the big man at the other side as well. You can see the crying and the wailing, the shouting, the struggling from the other side. As they say, make do of what you want or you wish or what you can with this information. But I think it's saying something. The big man holding a very big portion of food, but then still drawing the small portion of food that belongs to the other person at the other side of the table. The guy's leg can't even touch the ground. The stool is tilting. I think, Hollywood should come calling for this description I've done this morning. What a very beautiful one. As they say, if you won't praise yourself, who will? But then in the moving on, I don't want to say much. Below that, new CJN, Akpabio, Mukhtar set agenda for Kekereekun. Akpabio and Mukhtar set agenda for Kekereekun. That's the CJN. And about the story in spinning down, Bobrisky, FG set up panel to probe NCOS, that's Correctional Service, amid denials upon denials. The House of Reps invited some key actors, in that case yesterday. Martin also, VDM was there with his lawyer, and of course some other individuals. Bobrisky was supposed to be there. He, or how do you call him now, Shim, was represented by his lawyer, by the way, Idris Okune, that's what we know. He was represented by his lawyer, and he said he, wasn't feeling well, and he wanted to continue. The lawyer for the House committee shut him down. We are not expecting just only you. Your client should be here as well. And then we learned one of those personnel of the correctional center that was said to have been suspended came out yesterday and said, no, I wasn't suspended. I only heard it on the front page of the newspaper. And so you wonder, a name that was published by the Minister of Interior, Evelyn, that individual appeared before the panel and said, I've not been suspended. No letter was given to me to that effect. I'm still doing my job. But the minister, the correctional service, listed those names to say, we have suspended these individuals. So when the person said, nobody has communicated anything to me, but the minister published that particular name. So who are we to believe?
Well, it's just, it is what it is. It speaks to the anyhowness of Nigeria. And this is not the first time, second or third time we'll be hearing this. So it's no longer shocking that we could have a situation like that. For so many times we've had even the past presidents give orders and nothing was done about it. So if the number one at the time gave a direct order and it was
he's a new administration,
exactly,
many persons believe BTO Tunde is a bit of a part of the fresh order. Order,
he has to look into that to see why his order was flouted. And as to Bobrisky not showing up, I mean, there are a lot of times that our elected and appointed public officials would be called, summoned by the House of Representatives, and they will not show up.
They won't.
Even at the court of law, there are times that the court of law, a judge will give an order and it will be flouted. So it is Nigeria. It's the Nigeria factor. And I do not think that any rep member in that committee has any right to get angry at what Bobrisky did yesterday, because it's what they are already used to. It's what they do. So if it's done back to them, I do not see why they should, like you said, they don't have the moral right to frown at that.
Interesting one there. Tinubu highlights gains, prospect, and embarks on National Youth Confab. National Youth Confab. Okay. We wait to see how that will pan out. Tinubu highlights gains, prospect, and embarks on National Youth Confab. Okay, youth, get ready.
To talk on that, I do not, well, probably maybe with his own administration, something can, stem out of that. But the National Youth Confab that was held in the year 2022, if I'm not mistaken, it did not bring out anything. I was a major participant in that youth confab that held in Abuja, and I can tell you that it was not a youth confab. It was just more like gathering youth to tell them, because the what we had where we were sent the invitation was that, okay, you have been nominated to come represent your local government, to speak to the government on what the youth want. Like, it's supposed to be a conversation, a deliberation, a two-way communication. But at the end of the day, it was more like a one-way communication. They were just telling the youth what the government has done, what they want the youth to do. So they didn't really give the youth that chance.
There wasn't proper dialogue, syndicate sessions.
There were dialogues. There were dialogues. I should put it there. There were dialogues, but it wasn't what I expected. So I do not see. There was nothing that came out of that. So for this one, I hope, since that one was with Buhari's administration. I hope the Tinubu's administration,
Today's
Youth Confirm,
independence
would
is the
actually
first of a new month.
bring out something.
Be positive.
I am.
Ma'am, be
By
positive.
the way, I'm just speaking to facts.
All right. Someone will say even the national confab of 2014, we learned this administration was going to dust some of those reports, gathering dust somewhere, figuratively speaking, and maybe get to action with some of those recommendations there, edit, review, put to use, any of those things. The Ransom report is there as well. Confab meetings. Well, we wish Mr. President and his people all the best, because posterity is always there, to give us a detail of what has been done. And Fubara APP insists on local government polls as court stops INEC from releasing voters' register. Interesting. And you know what people do with the court? Shopping for order, ex parte motion, up and down, the way we say it here, forth and back, the way we say it here. Everybody will just use the court to achieve, their ulterior motives. And this is one that many persons have been talking about. I think the judiciary to find a way of not allowing politicians, to just do whatever they want to do just because there is a lacuna or there is a position in our constitution that allows them to do that. How can somebody approach the court to get an order for INEC not to release a register? How? All right. The CGN, my lord, and everyone, I think we have a lot to do in this regard. 64 years on, time to reset Nigeria for real growth. That's an editorial page. On editorial page rather. An October 1 protest. It is unconstitutional to confine protesters, Lagos lawyer tells government. And finally, independent article, NLC caution politicians against undercutting democracy. That will be all from The Guardian for today.
And let's move on to other papers for today. Let's check out the Punch newspaper for this morning. On the Punch newspaper, of course, it's all about Nigeria at 64. And the president is speaking, saying we must reform or collapse. So it's either one of two things. It's either we reform our country or we would have allowed it to collapse or, crumble. That's what Mr. President is saying. With the rider, CSOs vow to go on with protests. Remember the fearless October 1 protest scheduled for this morning, today, in major states across the nation. We are going to see how that pans out. And of course, the president, given his record, submitting his report to Nigerians, saying the renewed hope agenda, the milestones that have been achieved. And of course, you can see that in the green, white, green section there, with the picture of Mr. President, there. And I'm going to be reading out some of it. 70,000 Naira national minimum wage approved. Federal government has commenced full implementation. And on security, over 3,700 terrorists killed in the last 6 months. And Nigeria's most feared bandit leaders have been systematically neutralized. And talking about infrastructure, of the 330 bridges and roads are marked for repairs in 2023, over 85% now completed. And Lagos to Calabar and Sokoto to Badagry Highway project ongoing, East-West Road being redesigned. Of course, you can see what this is saying. You can as well also check whether these are facts or they are not. Presidential initiative on CNG attracted $175 million in private investment so far. 125 conversion centers in Nigeria, up from 7 last year. A Nigerian Education Loan Fund, over 46,000 students beneficiaries across 59 tertiary institutions, and over 5 billion naira disbursed. Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, 3.5 billion naira in loan disbursement. And still on the milestones achieved by the Renewed Hope agenda, $37.7 billion foreign exchange reserves, now at $37.7 billion up from $35 billion in May 2023. So it went up by $2.7 billion. And non-oil exports, $2.7 billion from non-oil exports in the first half of 2024, up 6.2% from 2023. That's the first half of 2023, by the way. And net foreign exchange inflows, $25 billion in the first half of 2024, up 55% year on year. Oil and gas, 3 new landmark presidential directives issued to unlock billions of dollars in new investment. Headline inflation down for the second consecutive month. I would have loved to see how far down it went. I mean, for others, they put out the figure there. Why is the inflation figure not there? Economic stabilization bill will facilitate remittances and foreign and domestic investments and will reduce tax burdens, promote business and entrepreneurship. This is a much of what the Renewed Hope agenda has been able to achieve over more than 1 year now of the President Tinubu's administration. And on the Punch, top corner, alleged 27 billion naira fraud, ex-Taraba Governor Ishako remanded in custody. And we hope that he is actually remanded in custody, and not outside custody. That will be all from the Punch. And of course, from the Punch newspaper this morning, Daily Trust has this one here for us. On Daily Trust, hardship, I'm committed to sustainable solutions, says Tinubu, with the riders. Says country winning war against insecurity, unveils plan for 30-day youth confab. These are, stories, the major story on Daily Trust newspaper for this morning. And that's where we'll pull the brakes on the newspaper review segment for this morning. And we go for this briefer. When we return, of course, we'll speak to Nigeria at 64 years of freedom, 64 years of paddling our own canoe, 64 years of being in the driver's seat. What have we achieved? What lessons have we learned over the years? And how bright is the future? Stay with us. Morning Spring will be right back.